Okay, welcome to the deep dive. So you've brought us this incredible stack of sources. We're talking Star Wars, Dune, The Matrix, Avatar, Lord of the Rings,
hmm
huge universes.
That's right.
And our mission today, it's definitely not just plot summary, is it?
No.
We're
Yeah.
looking at these massive franchises as, well, as complete consciousness evolution manuals, hidden right there in plain sight.
Exactly. And what's truly fascinating when you look across all these materials you've gathered is this consistent pattern. These
Yeah.
huge blockbusters, they're actually encoding universal spiritual truth.
And practical techniques,
Right.
technologies almost, for
Yeah.
personal awakening.
Precisely. We're kind of stripping away the spaceships, the sandworms, all that surface stuff
Yeah.
to reveal what's underneath the operating system of human consciousness, if you like.
Okay, so consider this deep dive your, let's say, accelerated shortcut.
hmm
We're going to pull out those universal laws, those techniques from the myths you already know, and translate them into something you can actually use right now,
Yeah.
turning fictional wisdom into, well, real-world application.
Let's do it.
All right, so where do we start? Maybe that fundamental layer, the universal energy that connects everything.
Good place to start. Because every single source defines this field in some way. It confirms that core idea. All consciousness, everywhere, it's already linked.
And Star Wars, I mean, that's the classic, isn't it? The Force.
It really is the clearest metaphor. It's described as this energy field that, surrounds us, penetrates us, and binds the galaxy together.
Right.
It's probably the most definitive mainstream definition of universal consciousness we have in modern stories.
Okay. But then you shift to something like Avatar, and it feels different. It's not this diffuse cosmic thing. It's localized,
Yeah.
biological almost.
Exactly. Awa. It's Gaia consciousness. The whole planet, Pandora, is presented as this massive, living, aware, well, a shared neural network, basically.
Planetary neural network. Wow.
And the Navis have the tech, right? The neural cues. They allow that direct interface. Sahelu.
So they literally plug their consciousness into the planet's memory.
Yeah, the collective memory, the knowledge of the planet. They've got this planetary unity. They don't look for connection. They are connected. It's their default state.
Okay, so we have this sort of ethereal field, this organic network. But then Dune comes along and suggests the pathway might actually be physical, or at least triggered physically.
That's right. Dune brings in the spice melange. And it's crucial. It's not just a drug, though it's often mistaken for one.
Right.
It's framed as a consciousness expansion catalyst. It physically changes the user's neurology, opening them up to multidimensional awareness.
And that includes seeing the future.
Prescience.
Yes, prescience.
Yes.
Accessing probability streams, seeing all potential futures all at once. It's presented as the ultimate tool for knowledge, for navigation.
But that's where it gets tricky, isn't it? Because accessing that kind of ultimate knowledge or ultimate power,
Yeah.
there's huge risk involved. Absolutely. Which brings us, inevitably, to The Lord of the Rings and the One Ring.
Ah, the ring.
The ring is just a brilliant spiritual lesson packed into an object. It represents pure consciousness power, raw potential,
Okay.
but it requires immense wisdom to wield it safely. The danger is what you could call the domination temptation.
The desire to control.
Exactly. The ego's desire to use that spiritual power to control others, control events, control the material world, instead of using it for service for the collective good.
So if the power's that big, why not just learn to handle it? Why does Frodo have to destroy it?
Because, and this is the core teaching, I think, some powers aren't meant to be controlled. They have to be transcended.
Transcended.
Destroying the ring in Mount Doom. That's a potent metaphor for ego death. The moment you try to master that kind of raw, dominating power, the ego that craves it corrupts you. You have to be willing to let go of the power completely to actually fulfill a higher purpose. And think about that, in your own life. Where are you tempted to use what you know or your influence to kind of force an outcome instead of just releasing that need?
Wow, okay. That completely reframes the hero's journey then.
Yeah.
It's not about accumulating power. It's about refining yourself so you can handle, well, powerlessness almost, wisely.
Or perhaps power used in service, not for control.
Right. Okay, so we understand the energy, the potential risks. Now let's look at the actual process, tapping into it, the hero's journey itself, the transformation.
Yeah, let's track that ascent.
Maybe start with the Matrix. Neo's stages seem really applicable for anyone feeling stuck right now.
Neo's arc is practically an awakening manual laid out step by step. It starts subtly, right? That feeling he has.
The splinter in your mind.
Exactly, that little nagging intuition that something about the reality you accept, it's just off.
And then comes the big choice.
The red pill, which is that conscious, often difficult decision, choosing truth, choosing awareness, even if it's uncomfortable, over staying in the comfortable illusion.
And his goal isn't just to become a better fighter, is it? It's something deeper.
Much deeper. It's seeing the code directly.
Which means?
It means transforming your perception of reality itself. You stop seeing just the surface story, the illusion, and you start seeing the underlying patterns, the programming, the structure beneath it all. You recognize how it works.
And that culminates in that death and resurrection scene.
Pure ego dissolution, textbook stuff. And what brings him back? What's the catalyst?
Trinity, love.
Love. Trinity's absolute unconditional commitment. Love is shown as the ultimate force, the mechanism that can actually transcend the system's limitations.
Okay, let me shift gears a bit with Avatar. Jake Sully's path feels more embodied, physical, emotional.
Very much so. He starts as the broken warrior. His paralyzed legs aren't just physical. They're a clear symbol of his restricted consciousness, his disconnection.
Right, cut off.
And his whole journey is about learning the way of water, which is essentially about achieving flow consciousness.
Flow consciousness.
Yeah, letting go of the ego's constant need to control everything, learning to move with the natural patterns, with the flow of life, instead of fighting against it.
And that leads to?
Complete integration, the consciousness transfer, merging his human awareness fully with his Na'vi avatar body, becoming whole.
And the heart of that connection, that integration, is that simple greeting.
I see you. Oel nati kamie. It's so profound. It's not just I see your body. It's consciousness recognizing itself in another form.
Seeing the divine spark in the other.
Exactly, regardless of the physical shell it's currently inhabiting.
So if Neo and Jake represent these sort of learner stages, then Paul Atreides in Dune, he's aiming for the peak, right? The Kwisatz Haderach.
Ah, the Kwisatz Haderach, yes. It's a complex term, means something like the shortening of the way. It represents the absolute pinnacle, the highest goal of consciousness integration in that universe.
Okay, break that down. What does it actually involve?
Well, it combines three major evolutionary steps or capacities. First, accessing genetic memory.
Which isn't just remembering your parents.
No, it's tapping into the entire collective unconsciousness, the wisdom, the experiences of your whole genetic line, all ancestors.
Wow, so basically plugging into the entirety of human experience up to that point.
Essentially, yes. Second, perfecting future prescience. Not just seeing possibilities, but navigating those probability streams without getting trapped by them, without falling into fatalism.
Okay.
And third, achieving male-female integration. Complete balance of the polarities within one single being. The masculine drive, the feminine flow, all perfected and harmonized within the self.
That's presented as the next big evolutionary jump for humanity then.
That's the idea in Dune, yes. A being who spans time and inner space.
That path sounds, well, intense but almost clean. But we know these manuals always include resistance, the antagonists, and your sources seem pretty clear. The villains aren't just, pure evil for evil's sake.
Absolutely not. And this is a fundamental spiritual truth you see reflected again and again in these fictional worlds. The synthesis across the sources really points to this. The shadow is the teacher.
The shadow is the teacher.
Yeah. The villains, the antagonists, they represent necessary shadow aspects. They provide the resistance, the friction that's actually crucial for consciousness to grow. If the hero never faced any real challenge,
You wouldn't get stronger. They wouldn't learn.
Precisely. No resistance, no growth.
So to really understand integrating that shadow aspect, we need to look at, well, maybe the darker corners. Warhammer 40K comes to mind. That universe seems to give us a pretty detailed breakdown of psychological darkness with the Chaos Gods.
It does. And the key insight there isn't about fighting chaos endlessly, which is sort of the surface narrative.
Right.
It's about understanding the raw psychic energy they represent and then integrating it.
Okay, so let's take one. Khorne, the blood god. He's all rage, violence. How do you integrate that?
Well, Khorne represents uncontrolled anger, raw aggression, bloodlust. If you just fight it, you feed it. But if you understand the energy behind it, the integrated gift isn't violence, it's righteous strength.
Righteous strength.
Yeah, the controlled, focused, protective power needed to, say, defend boundaries, uphold justice, act decisively when needed. It's channeling that raw energy constructively.
Okay, what about Nurgle, the Plague Lord?
Yeah.
Stagnation, decay.
That
That just sounds awful.
It sounds awful, yes. But again, if you don't just react with disgust and fear, if you actually observe that energy, Nurgle offers the gift of regeneration wisdom.
How so?
It's the deep understanding that death, decay, endings, they aren't just destruction. They're necessary phases for transformation, for new growth to happen. It's moving from fearing endings to accepting cycles. You turn the shadow into an ally, into wisdom.
That's a huge shift.
Wow.
Okay, so then we see characters whose maybe dedication is just pointed the wrong way.
Right.
Like Quaritch in Avatar. He's got discipline, loyalty.
Tremendous discipline and loyalty, but they're entirely in service of an extractive, corporate, life-destroying agenda. He's weaponized against Iwa, against the natural flow.
So he represents.
You could call it warrior shadow work. He has these powerful gifts, focus, commitment, but they need to be transformed. His potential redemption, even just hints of it, suggests that dedication needs to be redirected to serve planetary consciousness, life itself, not just profit or orders.
And then maybe the ultimate example of this kind of misdirection tied to attachment, Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker.
Oh, absolutely. Star Wars gives us the ultimate teaching on attachment there, his fall. It wasn't initially about a pure lust for power. The story is very clear.
It was fear.
It was attachment and the profound fear of loss, specifically the fear of losing Padme. He literally tried to trade his soul for the illusion of controlling life and death.
But he does come back in the end.
And that's the crucial point. His redemption, choosing Luke, sacrificing himself to destroy the Emperor, it proves the core teaching. Unconditional love, in that moment, proves stronger than decades of shadow identification. Every single time.
Attachment binds you.
True love liberates.
Wow, okay. And for that really intense internal conflict, the kind of psychological battle within oneself, Gollum from Lord of the Rings.
Gollum Smeagol, perfect example. He is addiction consciousness personified. The ultimate split personality, constantly warring within himself. The light, Smeagol versus the shadow. Gollum, driven by the ring.
He's just consumed by it.
Completely. But what's truly profound and often missed is that his final act, his most selfish, destructive, addicted act,
Grabbing the ring in Mount Doom.
and falling into the fire with it. That act was absolutely necessary for the mission to succeed. Frodo couldn't do it at the end.
Even his deepest shadow.
His deepest shadow, his addiction, his betrayal, it ultimately served the awakening, served the mission, even as it seemed to be fighting against it tooth and nail. The self-serving addiction accidentally becomes the instrument of salvation.
That's a huge shift in perspective. It means you almost have to love your inner Gollum, or at least understand its role instead of just battling it forever.
Understand it, integrate its energy, recognize how even the worst parts might be serving a larger purpose in your growth.
Okay, right. We look at the energy, the journey, the resistance, the shadows. So let's bring this right down to earth. What does this all mean for you listening right now when you wake up tomorrow? How do we make this practical?
Yes, let's talk about the actionable stuff. The spiritual technology you can actually apply day to day.
Where do we start?
We can pull practices straight from Dune, from the Fremen. Their whole culture is built around discipline, especially water discipline.
And the still suits.
So, exactly. They're a perfect metaphor for the radical conservation of life energy.
How does a still suit translate to, my life? I don't live on a desert planet.
Well, think about what it does. It recycles every single drop of moisture, every breath. Nothing is wasted. Translating that means you have to become aware of and eliminate your unconscious energy leaks.
Energy leaks, like what?
Unnecessary, habitual ways you spend your mental and emotional energy. Mindlessly scrolling social media for hours when you could be resting deeply, worrying about things you can't control, engaging in gossip. Any habit that drains your core vitality without giving anything back.
Yeah, right.
The Fremen discipline teaches you to treat your consciousness, your attention, your life force as the most precious resource you have, finite. And you eliminate all waste. Be deliberate about where your energy goes.
Got it. And then the Bene Gesserit, also from Dune. They give us that direct mental tool, don't they? The litany against fear.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's probably the single most powerful cognitive restructuring exercise in any of these sources. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer.
How does it work practically?
It's a clear step-by-step protocol for moving through fear, not just suppressing it. First, you acknowledge the fear is there, you name it.
Okay.
Second, you face it. You look right at it, metaphorically speaking. You don't run. Third, you allow it to pass over you and through you. You observe its path without getting swept away by it.
Like watching a cloud pass.
Exactly. And fourth, when it's gone past, you turn your inner eye to see its path, and then you return consciously to your center, the place where only you remain. Where fear cannot fundamentally exist, it's about achieving stability, presence, even under extreme pressure.
Powerful. Okay, let's bring in the big one. Force mastery. Star Wars. How is using the Force a practical technology for us?
Because at their core, the Force powers aren't really magic. They're demonstrations of focused intention applied directly to reality.
Explain that.
Well, take telekinesis. Luke moving a rock with his mind. What is that, really? It's consciousness. Pure, focused intention and deep belief.
Yeah.
Directly affecting the physical world.
And Force telepathy.
Same principle. Sending thoughts, feelings, impressions through focused intention. The underlying teaching is fundamental. Where you direct your attention, your energy flows. And reality tends to respond to that focused energy.
And that focus, that intention, it's even reflected in things like the lightsaber forms, right? They're not just fighting styles.
Not at all. They're moving meditations, deep physical and mental conditioning. The Jedi Masters practice them for spiritual mastery as much as combat.
Like Form 3, Saresu.
Right, Reisu, the resilience form or defense mastery. It's not about aggression. It's about efficiency, patience, outlasting the obstacle rather than trying to overpower it immediately. It's the spiritual practice of maintaining your inner peace, your energy, making sure no attack, physical or mental, can really penetrate your core, conserving energy until the right moment.
Okay. And finally, the Matrix. It gives us that ultimate reality-bending tool, which is just belief.
Essentially, yes. Think about the Ferris spoon bending scene. The lesson isn't really about bending spoons.
There is no spoon.
Exactly. The key is the learner recognizing there is no spoon. It's about transcending the perceived physical limitation by realizing that reality is, to a large extent, shaped by your perception of it. It affirms the ultimate matrix teaching. Your mind makes it real.
So if you believe the rules are rigid,
Then for you, they are. If you believe there's flexibility, that the rules can be bent or even broken, then reality starts to become more pliable. Your belief shapes your experience.
wow. Okay, so tying this all together then, wrapping up this deep dive.
If we connect it all back, right back to that initial spark, the central recognition across all these vastly different universes,
It's remarkably consistent, isn't it?
it seems to be. The ultimate truth they all point to, in their own way, is that you are both the traveler and the map.
Okay.
The paradise you seek, the awakening, the force, the connection to Awa, the clear perception, it's not out there somewhere. It's fully and completely contained within your own consciousness. Right here, right now.
So we can maybe leave people with those combined ultimate gradings. It's not just that the Force is with you
The force as you. You are an expression of that universal field.
and that deepest recognition from Avatar.
The Na'vi greeting. Simply, I see you.
Hmm.
Recognizing that same divine consciousness, that same spark, expressing itself through every single form, including, and maybe especially, your own reflection in the mirror.
Beautiful.
And maybe one final thought from the deep wisdom of Dune for you to consider on your own path of evolution.
Please.
The mystery of life isn't a problem to solve, but a reality to experience. We must move with the flow of the process. We must join it. We must flow with it. Consciousness evolution isn't a destination you arrive at. It's an eternal flow you learn to join.
Powerful stuff. That's our deep dive for today. Thank you for exploring these incredible manuals with us.